The answer to fear is not distance, but it is faith. Faith. It is found in the God of Israel and in the scriptures, where every Jewish person can discover comfort, purpose, and the true meaning of his history and destiny. Many Jewish people today are seeking to distance themselves from the state of Israel. Perhaps it is because of the growing pressure of anti-Semitism. Perhaps it is because of the influence of the media, the social media. Perhaps it is out of fear. Whatever the reason, it reflects a reality that has often surfaced throughout Jewish history. This is why perhaps we're only about 15 million people, when we're supposed to be perhaps over a billion. It was Léon Blum, the Prime Minister of France from 1936 to 1937, who said, "I am a Jew because when I was born, I would not have chosen it. Because having been born a Jew, I could not escape it." Yet fear and attempts to dissociate oneself from the Jewish people are not the answer. To be Jewish is a great privilege and a unique calling from God. The answer to fear is not distance, but it is faith. Faith. It is found in the God of Israel and in the scriptures, where every Jewish person can discover comfort, purpose, and the true meaning of his history and destiny. And it is precisely when fear is increasing that the nation seems to be moving in a troubling direction, that we must turn our attention to what God has already revealed concerning the future. It's all in the scriptures. Now, and finally, in the news today, we're hearing reports of possible agreement between United States and Iran. So mazel tov to the United States, right? Negotiations appear to be advancing, and there is even discussions that the Strait of Hormuz may soon reopen fully. If these developments materialize, they would certainly be welcomed as good news for the region and the world economy, even here in Montreal. But the question remains, would that peace last? And what should we expect next? We certainly hope for a long period of peace and stability, yet there are several important developments worth noting. One thing we have learned lately is that while Iran appeared to have lost the war, yet it is still there. It is still undefeated. It was not decapitated, and in many respects, it appears to have emerged with its strategic position quite intact. Recent reports indicate that it has recovered much of its military infrastructures. We are told that it has salvaged 50 of the 69 tunnels system damaged during the conflict and has reopened more than 18 underground missile facilities. Long-range missiles have reportedly been reburied and redeployed. Now, beyond its military capacity, Iran now possesses another strategic asset. In 2023, reports emerged of vast, newly discovered rare earth deposits. Why is this significant? Because the 21st century runs on lithium and rare earth elements, much as the 20th century ran on oil. These minerals are essential for advanced technology, electronics, batteries, and so on. So whoever controls such resources possesses tremendous economic and geopolitical leverage. So we have seen that throughout the conflict, by the way, Iran also launched approximately 400 to 500 missiles at Israel, along with about 1,000 drones, many of them directed towards civilian areas. Its hatred against Israel has not changed. Now, all of this, and the reason why I'm going through this is because all of this, according to end-time prophecies for this country, is one of the many that come against Israel during the war of Gog and Magog, related in Ezekiel 38, where the northern powers, identified by many as Russia, is listed first, followed by Persia. Among the Jewish people, Gog and Magog is perhaps the most well-known end-time conflict. Many regard it as the great war that will immediately precede and usher the coming of the Messiah. So according to Ezekiel's prophecy, Persia must remain a significant power, and this is what we see today. This is what we see. From a prophetic perspective, Iran's story is not finished. The nation remains on the stage because the prophecy has not yet reached its final fulfillment. It will when Yeshua comes back. And consider another nation mentioned in Ezekiel 38:39, one that will form part of the coalition against Israel and who today is raising its voice louder and louder against Israel. That is Bet Togarmah, a region mainly identified with modern-day Turkey. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Jewish historian Josephus associated Togarmah with the Phrygians, who lived in Asia Minor, where Turkey is situated today. The Phrygians were an ancient people who inhabited what is now central Western Turkey. Today, hostility toward Israel from Turkey's leadership has become increasingly vocal, almost as if they cannot wait for the event of the Gog and Magog to start. For example, on May the 4th, 2026, Turkish President Erdogan issued a strong warning that Turkey would launch military operation against Israel in response to Israel's action in Lebanon. He is ready for military confrontations. Shortly afterwards, he accused Israel of trampling on humanity's shared values. Then on June the 10th, he declared that Israel's aggression threatens not only Turkey but the whole world. Israel is increasingly becoming the scapegoat, the cause of the world's problem. This is how people will look at Israel. The peace that is happening now will not perhaps last that long. At least anti-Semitism will still be growing. Yet, what many do not realize is that the scriptures foretold these types of accusation and disalignment of this nation more than 2,500 years ago. Iran and Turkey are only two examples among many nations that appear to be moving into positions that are remarkably consistent with the prophetic scriptures. And so the question before us today is this: how close are we to seeing the stage fully set for the complete fulfillment of these remarkable prophecies that we have in the scriptures? The answer is very close. The signs are converging and the stage is rapidly being prepared. It is imminent. However, imminent doesn't necessarily mean that is immediate, right? It means that the conditions are in place and that the events could occur at any time. The one exception, of course, is the rapture that can come immediately. That is even before I finish or we finish this, that is this phrase, if you want. So imagine standing at a railroad crossing. If the train is already passing before your eyes, its arrival is immediate. But if you hear the whistle in the distance and see the crossing gates beginning to come down, the train's arrival is imminent. That is the end-time prophecies. That is where we find ourselves today. And as we listen, the sound of that approaching train is becoming louder and louder as we move on.